We are officially through the first month of 2026, and the Vermont housing market is changing a little bit. I've noticed things starting to pick up slightly now that we're into the new year. It feels like many buyers were sitting on the sidelines, waiting for rates to drop, waiting for the holidays to be finished. And now that we're into the new year, they're back out looking, they're back searching for properties. Now, the data, which we're going to dive into later in this video, tells a little bit of a different story. Active inventory is way up across the state. In fact, active inventory is higher today than it was at any point in 2023. And that's important to know because January and February are typically the lowest points of the year for active inventory on the market. So there are more listings, buyers have more options, and the market is still a balanced market. Neither buyers nor sellers have an advantage out there. Now, that being said, I did have a listing hit the market earlier on in January, and that listing received multiple offers. People are still getting multiple offers. Homes are still selling for over list price, but at the same time, there are listings that are sitting. I have two listings right now that have been on the market for a couple months, and we haven't had an offer yet. And they're at an attractive price point. So buyers are very picky right now about the properties that they're seeing, that they're submitting offers on. But if your home is well maintained, if it's well updated, you put yourself in a good position to receive multiple offers as long as you come out of the gate priced correctly. So how do you take advantage if you're a seller out there to get multiple offers like my sellers did? If you're a buyer, how do you know that you're getting a good deal on a home? Or how do you know you should stay away from a property that you may be overpaying? We're going to go over those strategies in this video, and we're going to dive deep into the market stats so you know exactly what's going on in the housing market. But before we do, my name is Liam O'Reilly. I'm a realtor here in Vermont with Jerry Riley Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs, reach out to me directly. All of my contact information is in the description. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so what we're taking a look at here is the statewide median sales price numbers. We can see that it's down year over year, but overall things haven't changed much. For whatever reason, there was a spike in median sales price last January, and then that dip in February. So I expect February to be roughly flat year over year. And again, we're not seeing a huge change. The median sales price does dip seasonally in the winter. I'm recording this on February 2nd, 2026. So we're in the heart of the winter, and it's been a cold winter, as you know, if you live here in Vermont. So median sales price hasn't dropped, but I mentioned more buyers are out looking. When we take a look at East Rise's mortgage rates, we see here the best 30-year fixed rate mortgage that you can get from East Rise is 5.875%. So below 6%, which I think is a big hurdle. I predicted at the beginning of last year, 2025, that we would see mortgage rates right around 6%. And that's exactly what happened. Now we're starting to see them dip below 6%. And I expect that they'll continue to drop as we move throughout 2026. Now, the dropping mortgage rates is going to bring more buyers into the market. When money's cheaper, the monthly payment is cheaper, and people can afford to purchase more home. They get more for their monthly payment with a lower mortgage rate. So that's going to bring more buyers into the market. At least that's what I see as we move forward throughout 2026. Now, this is a little bit of a different time than 2021, 2022, and 2023 because active inventory is so high. We take a look at active inventory here. We see across the state, about 1,100 homes last year. We're at 1,351 homes as of January 31st, 2026. This is higher than any point in 2023. You see this low inventory, 2022, 2023, and 2021. Last year, we saw inventory rise, and we saw it rise even more in 2025. I expect that inventory is going to continue to build. Again, we're a long way from the pre-pandemic. When we see here 2019 levels, you see how many more homes were on the market before the pandemic compared to now. So we're still in an inventory starved environment, but inventory is building. And like I mentioned before, we shifted into what is called a balanced market. We can tell that by the supply of inventory. This is a ratio of the number of homes going under contract versus the number of active listings out there on the market. So it would take 4.2 months supply, 4.2 months for all the buyers who are putting properties under contract to go through all the active inventory that we have on the market. Now, over here, it says that this blue line is considered a balanced market. What I've always been taught, what I've heard online is that between 4 and 6 months of inventory, of supply, between 4 and 6 months supply of inventory is considered a balanced market. So you can see here, we are at 4.2 months supply. This is for single family homes across the state of Vermont. We are in a balanced market. Now, that doesn't mean that every home is going to sit on the market for months or weeks, but the majority of the properties are. When we take a look here at percentage of properties or percentage of list price received. So percentage of list price received, most homes are selling for around 92% of their original list price. This is either through a price reduction and then accepting an offer, or the buyers negotiating with those sellers. So we can see that most sellers are negotiating. We take a look at the number of properties closed over list price, percentage closed over list price. Only 14% of listings in January across the state of Vermont sold for over list price. So that's about 1 in 8, 1 in 9 listings sold for over list price in the state of Vermont. So the market is much slower than what it was. We can see here back in 2022, almost 60% of listings sold for over list price. So it's a much slower market than it was before. Now, that being said, subjectively speaking, the listings that I have, we're getting more activity than we got in December. The listing that just hit the market in January, now it was a unique property. It was a well-maintained, and we priced it correctly. We were able to get multiple offers, and that property sold or went under contract within the first weekend. I can't let you know exactly what property it was or what price they sold for because it doesn't close until later this month, but it's a very good offer and they received multiple offers. So that does still happen. Now we dive into the Chittenden County stats. Chittenden County, it's where Burlington is. It's where I'm primarily located, where I primarily work in. We see median sales price up slightly year over year, but again, not a huge difference, not a huge change in median sales price. It's relatively flat. Now, when we take a look at active inventory, Chittenden County tells the exact same story. Active inventory is up. More homes are on the market compared to any point in 2023. So there's a good amount of inventory. We're starting the year. We're in the slow season now where inventory should be at its lowest. We're starting it with a relatively healthy amount of inventory. Again, we're below pre-pandemic levels. So we're not quite back to a normal market, but I think we have a good opportunity to get there as we move throughout 2026. Now, I'm contradicting myself a little bit because I do think rates will drop as we move throughout 2026 as well. So that's really going to be the balance that you have to look out for, whether you're a buyer or a seller out there. If rates drop quickly, we're likely to see more homes sell for over list price. We're likely to see prices spike back up because we're so far below this pre-pandemic inventory level. We jump back over to the state level here. We take a look at active inventory. You can see how far below the pre-pandemic level we are. So if rates drop significantly and that brings more buyers into the market, we don't have this pre-pandemic inventory to go through before prices go up. So if there's no inventory for people to buy, people are going to compete on price, and that's what drives the median sales price up. Now, going through the Chittenden County data a little bit further, we see that the supply of inventory, the month supply of inventory is lower than the rest of the state, 2.6 months supply. So technically still a buyer's market here in Chittenden County. It's a little bit more competitive up by Burlington, but overall, I can tell you from experience from the listings that I have, not every property is selling within that first weekend. It still might take some time. If you're a seller out there and if you're a buyer out there, you might have some time to find that right property. Now, that being said, a handful of the listings that I've sent to my clients who weren't able to get up and see it within that first weekend, well, a handful of them went under contract. A handful of those properties went under contract that first weekend. Typically, if a home goes under contract within the first weekend, it's either selling for list price or above. And that's a good strategy, a good rule of thumb. If you're a buyer out there, if you want to make an offer under list price, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great strategy. Don't do it the first week that it's on the market. The seller is not going to accept that offer. They want to see list price or better that first week. After a week or two has gone by and the seller realizes that there is no buyer out there at the price that they're listed at, then they'll be more willing to negotiate with you on price if you're looking to negotiate for that dream property. Now, if you're a seller out here, what I'm personally seeing is the more updated your home is, the better maintained, the less projects that buyer is taking on, the quicker it's going to sell. Buyers are very hesitant to take on homes with projects, even if they're priced appropriately. Um, I have a great condo that's listed right now that needs a little bit of work. It needs a little bit of updating, but it's not selling because buyers aren't willing to take those projects on. So overall, what we're seeing here in the state of Vermont is the stats are showing that things are still slow, that inventory is still high, and that prices are dropping, but we are moving, but we're still firmly in that balanced market. Now, subjectively speaking, things have picked up. I've seen that personally with my business, and I'm seeing it with other listings around the market here in Vermont, that things are moving a bit quicker than they were in December. There's more buyers out there right now. If rates drop moving throughout 2026, expect even more buyers to come out of the woodwork, expect more multiple offer situations and prices to potentially go up. If rates stay around that 6% mark or drop slowly, meaning maybe they hit 5% by the end of 2026, a very slow decline, then expect the market to behave as it's behaving now, where inventory is going to continue to build. We're not going to see these huge shifts in median sales price. Homes are going to sit on the market for longer, and buyers have a greater opportunity to negotiate with sellers than they've had in years past. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, reach out to me directly. I would be happy to give you my personalized advice based on your specific situation. If you have any general questions, leave them in the comment section below. I do my best to get back to every single person who comments on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.